The best way to determine on if Jacoby Brissett will be the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals in 2026 hinges on the presence of a run game. They just got a breath of fresh air today. Trey Benson may be back. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast platform. Just absolutely unbelievable. A lot to talk about today. The best way to attack the Jaguars. It's actually very simple. Trevor Lawrence has a proclivity to turn the ball over. What's the best way to force that? I'll discuss it in the final segment. Continuing the evaluation, not just for the rest of this season, but moving forward. Not just for this season, but for years to come, especially with the younger players on the team. That's what the rest of the season is going to be about. And it's easiest to do that, especially on the offensive side of the ball, when you've got a running game that complements throwing the ball 57 times. Trey Benson's 21-day window to be designated to return from IR is officially open. People have been in my DMs, texting me, tweeting me, comments. Where the hell is the Trey Benson news? It's finally here. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Trey Benson, 21-day window to return. Amar DiMercato will not play on Sunday, nor will Marvin Harrison Jr. So it would be serendipitous to think that Trey Benson will play on Sunday. Is he a week away? Maybe. Are you going to roll with Bam Knight and Michael Carter still? Potentially. I would love to see Trey Benson out there on Sunday, not just for the young man's growth and getting reps and maybe being RB1 in 2026, but also for the health of the entire offense. What they're doing right now is not sustainable. I think that's pretty obvious. You never want your starting quarterback to drop back between 40 and 50 times a game. You just don't want to see it. Even though the offensive line held up very well last week against a pretty bad pass rush, but still had a clean sheet, 0 sacks given up, it's not sustainable. So if we're going to see for this team what the offense is going to look like in 2026, the presence of a run game is necessary to have an accurate descriptor on what it'll look like, or have some form or fashion what the cousin of it will look like in 2026. There's going to be different pieces on offense. You'd hope there's going to be some bolstering on the offensive line, maybe add a wide receiver, maybe add a running back. We don't know. But you can't do that effectively at all if they're running for 2.6 yards a carry. And you can't determine or evaluate Trey Benson if he's playing as many snaps as I am because he's on IR. So the 21-day window is open. This is a breath of fresh air in a room that has toxic gas in it, I guess, with whatever we've experienced up until this point. Like, if Trey Benson comes back and plays on Sunday, they could be a week away. But I'd be shocked, not a doctor, I'd be shocked if he didn't play on Sunday. So you move him in, and you have Bam Knight as the 1-2 punch, and you see what Trey Benson looks like as a 1. Because we haven't seen it yet. We saw it for like 15 minutes, and then he got hurt. You can see with Trey Benson if you make it through the rest of the year without getting injured again. It's another check. It's like sometimes young players, it takes a little while to get the calluses of your entire body at the NFL level. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're just Cam Scatterby right away. What happened to him obviously was horrific. But he was just running over people. Like, he's NFL ready. We'll see what happens with Trey Benson. I always go back to Steph Curry. I know every day, as you know, that I use basketball references a lot as my first love. I still, equally as much as football. Steph Curry had ankle injuries for like the first 3 years he was in the league, and he couldn't really stay healthy. And then he was healthy, and he's been healthy. I know he's missed time here and there, but his body caught up to the NBA game. With Trey Benson, that's number one in the running back room. Not only, like, aside from the fact, hey, can he produce at an NFL level? Can he be the driving force, the anchor of the running back room? Not only, handing the ball and getting the ball handed off to him, but also in the pass game. Also, can he stay healthy? That's going to be the 1-2 punch for him. And I think that's obvious for any player. But if you're looking at Trey Benson as potentially being the future RB1 for this team in 2026, he's got to stay healthy the rest of the year. Otherwise, you need to have a second running back who can play second fiddle or 1A fiddle, as it were. I don't know if a 1A fiddle exists. Play second fiddle to Trey Benson in case injury concerns continue to remain. But this is going to be like, for Jacoby Brissett, and for a true evaluation, I'll get much more into evaluation in the next segment, but like, I implore people to look at Jacoby Brissett for the rest of the year and picture, can this guy run an offense that can win games? Well, they're not winning games now. I know. Well, he threw a bad interception. I know. Threw the ball 57 times, over 450 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns. Michael Wilson's thriving. Trey McBride's thriving. Marv is showing promise. Like, it's not really, and this is so counterintuitive, it's not really about winning or losing anymore this year. Like it is. You always want to win games. You always want to win games. But it's more determining if Jacoby Brissett can start for you in 2026. And the fact that Trey Benson's coming back, you'll start, like, this is where the look begins. This is where you really start to picture, can he be that dude? Even if Drew Petzing's not the offensive coordinator. What Jacoby Brissett is a large quarterback who can step in the pocket and take hits, who's got a very strong arm, and who is efficient when he has time. The whole quote-unquote sitting duck thing is like, 80% of quarterbacks are quote-unquote sitting ducks. They just have better offensive lines. So now with the complement of a run game, we'll see what Jacoby Brissett really is like as a quarterback. That's expecting, at least for this exercise, for this segment, that Trey Benson will play on Sunday. Because if it's not this, then it's next week and we're having the same conversation. But the fact remains that Trey Benson coming back will finally give us the real, you'd hope, balanced offense look as for Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback. And if that can be a guy that you can roll out in 2026 with an elevated offensive line and hopefully not the cavalcade of injuries that we've been experiencing this year with this team. This is like, this kind of gave me a breath of fresh air. Like, we're grasping at straws for relevancy for this season pertaining to wins and losses, but that doesn't mean that there's not important stuff happening. And it's been frustrating. This has been a frustrating year. #analysis. We're going to get to see what the next iteration of this offense could look like for 2026 if it's not Kyler Murray. Because Jacoby Brissett, you'd hope, won't have to throw the ball 40 to 50 times if Trey Benson can come in and produce. You got to find that exciting, right? Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. The evaluation is real, and it's like, you hope, at least after this year, you can take away that evaluation for the future is positive. Because, again, I won't do injuries as an excuse. They're a reason why the Cardinals could be where they are in some part. But luckily, you're not evaluating veterans now. Should they re-sign them? Should they, extend them? Things like that. They don't have anybody that's really 50-50 in that regard. They've got dudes under contract for a couple of years, except for Calais. You're evaluating the young impact players who are going to be the nucleus for this team for years and years to come. And there's plenty of games to do it. And it's going to benefit everybody, even the defense, if the offense can have some sort of semblance of a run game with Trey Benson set to return. I'll discuss it next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, go to the YouTube channel. Why don't you? Subscribe. Why don't you? Yeah, crossover Thursday tomorrow with Tony Wiggins, Locked on Jaguars. One of my buds. We always have a good time. So, continuing evaluation for this team. It's the young dudes. Except for outside of Jalen Thompson, looking for the future for him. It's the young guys. And that's fun. I think I'm conditioned to liking watching evaluation for first and second year guys, because that's what I've been doing for a large chunk of hosting this show when they're out of playoff contention. Early 2023 vibes. End of 2022 vibes. It's going to be fun. Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, you hope he comes back and plays. Garrett Williams, you hope he's healthy. What they're going to look like, what they're going to mold into. Denzel Burke, Max Melton. Up until this point, Kamari Lassiter and Nate Wiggins, I think it was Nate Wiggins. It was Kamari Lassiter, Kool-Aid McKinstry, the guys who were taken ahead of Max Melton after the trade back have at least equal to or better than the production of Max Melton. Cooper DeJean plays the same position that Garrett Williams did, so that's why they passed on him. And he's also great. He's a great cog in that Eagles defense with one of the best defensive lines and backers in the game. So they complement each other. I'm more like the Michael Wilson thing fascinates me. Because if you told me that he had more or less than 99.9 receiving yards or 99.5 receiving yards on Sunday, I would take the over. I think that this is going to be the breakout time for Michael Wilson. I know a lot of it was garbage time. I watched the same game. I completely understand. And they're still getting open. They're still getting him the ball when that was an impossibility the last 2 years. He was an afterthought for this offense. An afterthought. I say. Damn it. That's what I wanted. Above all else, Walter Nolan has shown flashes. He showed the oh my God moments are there. The oh no moments are not. Will Johnson, same thing when he's healthy. I think the core of the Cardinals defense is going to remain the same. We'll see what happens with ADG at the end of the year. I feel like I think Mac Wilson's contract is up. I think you're going to make him an Arizona Cardinal for a while, unless they want to Kazir White him. I'm not sure. But the Cardinals defense is pretty much set, and we'll see if they bring Calais back. You're probably going to have to draft an edge rusher, sign one. But offensively, the evaluation is Michael Wilson and Trey Benson. That's the evaluation. Because when you go into 2026, you're going to have to know who your RB1 is. You're going to have to know who your wide receiver 2 is. Or if you're going to have to go sign one or draft one. And for those who have much maligned Michael Wilson as a guy who doesn't separate enough or who doesn't break on his routes enough to get that separation yardage, hooey fish. We saw it. One game is wide receiver 1, 15 for 185. That's not 2 for 90 with 2 touchdowns where it was just 2 deep balls that he went up and got. Ran every route in the route tree. And he had that third and long contested catch that I've talked about that he's so good at. Like, the evaluation for this offense is going to be how much do you need to add? Because they ran it back, obviously. How much do you need to add? Do you need to add another wide receiver? Or do you have to have an offense that can highlight Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch? I ping-ponged back and forth this offseason. No. I pinged in the offseason, and I ponged back a few weeks in, where I went, the way to unlock this offense is to get Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch involved. I said that before the season started. And then I took that back because they couldn't even get Marvin Harrison Jr. or Trey McBride the ball. I'm like, okay, let's take that back. Let's just get your best playmakers the ball. And then now, everybody's getting the ball. I am vehemently certain that this offense has enough wide receiver power. It does. Greg Dortch is, dude, I don't know why he's not valued enough. I don't know why he's not valued enough. Michael Wilson showed it. That's what the evaluation is going to be. For the rest of the season, it's really going to be the wide receivers and Trey Benson. That's where my microscope is going to be on. Because if you can take your open capital on the salary and just dump it into the offensive line and draft another offensive lineman in the first round, look at what's happening with Chicago. Like, I know that early on, there were some growing pains. They added 3 offensive linemen this offseason. There were some growing pains. And now, even though Caleb Williams doesn't know when to get rid of the ball still, like, that's one of the better offensive lines in football. It changes everything. Look at Joe Flacco behind a good offensive line. Look at any quarterback, any NFL caliber quarterback behind a good to above average offensive line can be a Pro Bowler. Like, that's not a joke. That's like taking the 12th guy on an NBA team, putting him in the corner in a game in a wide open 3, swish, makes it every time. He's an NBA player. So if you bolster the offensive line and you have a wide receiving core that's good enough already, they just need touches, you're well ahead of where you thought you were. And that's the biggest indictment for me with Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett. Yes, they're losing games. And yeah, I said on yesterday's show, I said on the squad show last night, which was a good one, check that out, it's on YouTube. If Kyler Murray's healthy, he should start. He's a starting quarterback. I don't say that sarcastically. I don't say that vindictively. I don't say that with any sort of rhetoric other than he's QB1, you start him when he's healthy, if he comes back healthy. That doesn't mean he's going to be the quarterback next year. That doesn't mean he gives the team the best chance to win. But he should 100% start because he's the starter. With that said, the evaluation primarily, outside of maybe like Dalvin Tomlinson and the interior of the defensive line, we'll see if Walter Nolan can, breathe some life into that group. And the pass rushers, because obviously they're all extensions of each other. Darius Robinson is probably somebody we need to watch the rest of the year. But I'm looking at Michael Wilson, I'm looking at Greg Dortch, and I'm looking at Trey Benson. Because if they continue to produce without Marv, and then it'll be interesting to see when Marv is infused back, and you hope it's, he's out this week, you hope it's the week after. And they're able to have enough fulfillment for 3, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then Greg Dortch as the 4th option. If they're all getting touches and you're able to move the ball down the field consistently, it's not even about scoring touch. Like, I know that this sounds asinine. It's not even about scoring touchdowns at this point. It's about moving the ball for chunks of yards. And I'm not saying chunks in one play. I'm saying consistently getting multiple first downs more than you're not. That's the proof of concept that's needed to provide actual clarity on if Jacoby Brissett is your guy for 2026. And as I mentioned in the first segment, Trey Benson having some sort of semblance of a run game could alleviate and will alleviate so much of the stretches of the pass game, obviously. And it'll be fascinating to see what this offense will look like with a run game and Jacoby Brissett having this rapport with the receivers. That's what I'm watching for evaluation. I can't really distinguish defensively what's going wrong. I don't know if Nick Rallis has been found out. I will talk about that on Friday. I don't know what happened. Something happened. And now the defense is no good. They were giving up 19 points a game for the first 5 weeks. They were 2-3, but that was the offense's fault. I just don't know. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. There's one easy way to get after the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll discuss it next. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, dude. The NBA is here. It is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to watch a last-minute comeback and a team that's down double digits, maybe they catch a hot hand and come back and win, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Let me say that again, bro. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. YouTube channel, subscribe, notifications, comment. Yeah. Woo! I'll be on location for the next few weeks. So you'll see a different background. I'll be visiting family in Northern California for the holidays. Yeah. But you're going to still see my big dumb face. Just going to look different in the background. You just got to pressure Trevor Lawrence. Like, this is one of the most frustrating things about Trevor Lawrence. And I'll talk to Tony Wiggins about this, and we'll be able to commiserate. Is it's not so much, he went number 1 overall. He's supposed to be the next Andrew Luck. And he makes some of the most boneheaded decisions we've seen. He's gotten better this year. Liam Cohen looks like the real deal. They're 6-4. They're in a playoff spot right now. Brian Thomas has been bad and injured. So that whole Brian Thomas for Marvin Harrison Jr. thing, let's kind of chill. Let's relax for a minute on that, please. Evan Ingram walked. They've got Travis Etienne. They've got Bashal Tutin, and just traded for Jacoby Brissett, Parker Washington. They've got Brenton Strange, but they've won close games. The way to get Trevor Lawrence is just to swarm him. He makes some of the worst throws. He puts the ball on the ground so much more than a guy his size should. This is going to come down to the Cardinals turning over the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's it. And it's not, yes, you win the turnover battle, of course. Trevor Lawrence has a 5 turnover game in him every time he takes a step on the field. He's been great in crunch time. He's good running the ball. They found something special with him running the ball around the goal line inside the 10 where, he's 6'5", and he's lanky and he can move. That's going to be a key to victory tomorrow, spoiler alert, with one of our segments with Crossover Thursday. But the best way to beat the Jaguars and attack the Jaguars, just blitz the hell out of it. And, coincidentally, what did I say yesterday for adjustments? They need to blitz so much more than they are now. If you're going to make mistakes, make them huge. Who cares? One of Nick Rallis' greatest attributes up until this point was putting together the exotic blitz packages that kept Cardinals in games the last couple seasons, regardless of how much talent they had on the field. And you got to do it more. And what a perfect time to do it against a Jaguars team who has a proclivity to turn the ball over once pressured. Trevor Lawrence has 2 interceptions thrown in him a game. He's got 1 forced fumble lost a game. You just got to unlock those spots. And that's something that I think the Cardinals 100% can do. I think that's something the Arizona Cardinals, it would be chicken soup for the soul for the defense after giving up over 80 points the last 2 weeks combined to put on a defensive gem. You hope Will Johnson's back because it'll help. You hope Adrian Taylor-Demerson's back because it'll help. But this is about forcing turnovers, being as opportunistic as they've been all year against a guy who turns the ball over. There are a couple, what are you doing here plays a game from Trevor Lawrence. And he's ascending. He's not regressing. He's ascending. He's got a good coach. He doesn't have the toxicity of Urban Meyer and then Doug Peterson. Like, he's got a good, young, great offensive scheme coach in Liam Cohen. He was the maestro for Tampa Bay's offense last year. Travis Etienne scares me a lot more than Trevor Lawrence does on Sunday. But if you're able to get Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable, if you're able to turn him over 2 or 3 times, the Arizona Cardinals 100% win this game. Can 100% win this game. And maybe, just maybe, it'll look like a home game because Jacksonville doesn't travel very well. Fingers crossed. Locked On Cardinals, your team, every day. Number 1 sports podcast platform on the planet. Unbelievable. Thanks to everybody who's been around for so long. If this is your first listen to Locked On Cardinals, thanks. Maybe make tomorrow your second listen. It's going to be a fun one with Tony Wiggins and myself. Crossover Thursday. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you then.